Imagine someone wearing a doctor's coat, but they are not a doctor. I'm not sure about you, but I will feel unsafe. Now imagine a door labeled exit that doesn't open, or a light switch that looks real but does not turn on. That's what happens when your UI lies about role. And if your component says it's a button but doesn't behave like one, you didn't build a custom component, you built a lie. And assistive technology will expose it. Not maybe, not sometimes, every single time. In our last video, we spoke about name. Today, we are talking about role. And this one is more dangerous. Because when role is wrong, users don't just get confused, they lose trust. And in this video, you will learn what role really means, why ARIA does not give you a behavior, how to instantly test if your role is lying, and the top 5 ARIA role mistakes most teams ship without realizing it. Watch this video till the end because mistake 4 alone has broken entire enterprise apps. And once you see it, you won't unsee it. And before we begin, a huge thanks to the 14 members supporting this channel. You are helping making this series deep and not surface level. And if you are getting real value from our accessibility videos, consider joining. You're funding real demos, real audits, and real production failures. Let's expose something most teams don't admit. You have seen this in production. A div with the role button applied to add to cart. It looks fine, has a role, maybe even has an ARIA label. It passes automated tests, but it's not in the tabbing order. So your keyboard-only user cannot interact with it. That's not a broken button, that's a lost revenue. Because if a user cannot interact with it, they cannot buy from you. ARIA does not give you behavior, it gives you an announcement. And announcements without matching behavior, that's misinformation. Let's simplify this. A screen reader needs 3 things to make sense of your content. Name, what is an element called? Role, what type it is. Is it a button, link, or a checkbox? Or value, known as current state. When a screen reader announces role, it's giving users the instructions. If it says button, the user expects activation. If it says link, the user expects navigation. If it says checkbox, the user expects state. Role sets expectation, and expectations sets trust. Here's where things break even harder. Let's say you create a heart icon to mark a product as favorite, but you code it as a link with a role button. Screen reader will announce it as a button instead of a link, and then a screen reader presses the spacebar. Nothing happens because only a button can be triggered by pressing a spacebar or an enter key, but not a link. And since you have not coded for it, it fails. Now they don't know, is it broken or is it disabled or did they miss something? This is not minor. This is legal exposure. This is losing potential customers. Remember this, role is not cosmetic. Role is a promise. And if you made it, you must keep it. Accessibility errors are not technical anymore. They are business problems. Developers are not failing because ARIA is complicated. They are failing because they are using ARIA to patch the broken HTML. So stop trying to fix semantics with ARIA attributes. Use native HTML semantics first. A button already knows it's a button. An anchor tag already knows it's a link. They come with built-in role, built-in keyboard behavior, and built-in expectations. When you replace those with divs, you're not being modern. You are choosing more work, more code, more maintenance, and more failure points. And here's the line I want you to remember. ARIA announces HTML behaves, and behavior is not optional. If the behavior does not match the role, it's broken. Let me give you a simple mental model. All ARIA roles fall into 3 buckets. If you understand these buckets, you stop guessing. Landmarks. Landmarks define where you are on the page. They create orientation, not interaction. Navigation, main, complementary, banner are some of the examples. When landmarks are missing, users feel lost. When they are overused, everything feels like noise. And yes, I have a full breakdown of landmark strategy. Link is in the description. Structure. Structure roles define how content is organized. They shape meaning, not behavior. Headings, list, article. Structural mistakes don't usually break interaction, they break comprehension. And broken comprehension is just slower confusion. Next, we have widgets. Widgets define what you can do. A button, a checkbox, a dialog, a tab, or a slider. This is where most teams break accessibility because widgets promise action. And if you promise action, you must deliver behavior, no exceptions. And the last one is live or status roles. These define what changes without focus moving. Alert, a status message, a log. If you misuse these, users either miss critical updates or get interrupted constantly. Both are bad. There's a full deep dive on live regions in the description. Do watch that video. And comment role to get a free list of most commonly used roles from each bucket. And here's where most developers misunderstand ARIA. They think adding a role converts a custom widget into an accessible component. It does not. I once audited a site with the role tab list, but no role tab. Screen reader users couldn't switch tabs at all. ARIA is not a magic spell. It's a contract system. Let me show you what I mean. If you add role tab list to this div, you're not done. You have just declared this is a coordinated tab interface. That means you must provide child elements with role tab, associated panels with role tab panel, proper relationships using ARIA controls, and state using ARIA selected. If you only add role tab list, you built a skeleton, not a tab component. Screen readers expect a structure. If that structure is missing, navigation breaks. Keyboard interaction breaks. Mental models break. You cannot use half of a pattern. Accessibility patterns are complete systems. Let's take another example. If you add role combo box to this div, you must add ARIA expanded, ARIA controls, often ARIA active descendant, proper keyboard handling, and focus management. If you skip those, you didn't create a combo box, you created confusion. ARIA roles often require supporting states and properties. Role defines identity. ARIA attributes define behavior and state. Without both, it's incomplete. And incomplete accessibility is still broken accessibility. If you want to see properly implemented ARIA components with keyboard behavior, required states, and correct relationships, I have linked the best example resources in the description. Study them because copying half of ARIA pattern is worse than not using ARIA at all. Be honest. Have you ever added a role and realized later you were missing required attributes? Comment half pattern if you have seen this in production. Don't skip this part. These are the top 5 ARIA mistakes, and I have seen enterprises teams with hundreds of engineers ship every single one of them. Not because they didn't care, because they didn't know. If you are serious about building accessible solutions, this is the part that changes how you build. Mistake 1. Overriding native semantics. This one mistake makes me pause every time I audit a site. Adding role button to a button tag? But why? A button already knows it's a button. Or adding role navigation to nav tag. Again, it's redundant. Or worse, adding role link to a button. Now you have broken the mental model. Native HTML already comes with built-in roles. When you override them unnecessarily, you increase risk. The first rule of ARIA is simple. If native HTML can do it, use native HTML. ARIA is a bridge, not a replacement. Mistake 2. Adding role to everything. This one is epic. And I admit, I also did this when I first discovered ARIA. I started adding role to every div. role region, role group, role article, role presentation. Learn from my mistakes. ARIA is not seasoning, so stop adding it to everything. If native HTML already provides semantics, leave it alone. More ARIA does not mean more accessibility. Sometimes it means the opposite. Mistake 3. Invalid role added. You can't just invent roles. If you write div with role primary button, that role does not exist. Assistive technologies ignores it, or worse, behaves inconsistently. ARIA roles are well defined. They are not creative writing. If it's not in the spec, it's not real. And if it's not real, you're building fiction. Mistake 4. Role with incorrect supporting ARIA attributes. Some roles require specific states or properties. For example, if something has role checkbox, it must have ARIA checked set to true or false. Without it, screen readers announce checkbox but give no state information. That's like saying there's a switch, but never telling the user if it's on or off. Role without required state is incomplete, and incomplete accessibility is still broken accessibility. Comment below, have you seen a custom checkbox without ARIA checked? Mistake 5. Using role application. This one is most dangerous. Role application tells screen readers switch to application mode, which means the screen reader stops using normal document navigation shortcuts. And that changes how the entire page behaves. Unless you are building a complex web component with custom keyboard management and you fully understand the focus control, never use it. Most sites that use role application don't need it, and it breaks user expectations instantly. If you ever have seen it in the wild, comment application. I'm curious how common it is being used even today. If you are making these mistakes, you are not alone. Most teams are. But here's the difference. Average teams use ARIA to decorate. Mature teams use ARIA to clarify. And clarity builds trust. And here's how real accessibility experts test roles. Step 1. Use accessibility linters such as Axe linter to catch issues while you are writing code. They have the capabilities to understand what role is being used and what are the supporting ARIA attributes needed. And in case you have used incorrect ARIA attribute, they will flag it right then and there. Step 2. Use Axe DevTools Chrome plugin and check for any role and invalid ARIA attribute issues. Because when required ARIA attributes are not used, they get detected automatically. Step 3. Open DevTools, go to accessibility pane and inspect role. Now you're going deeper into the accessibility tree, understanding what role is actually reflected to the assistive technology. Step 4. Turn on a screen reader, tab through the elements and listen. Does the interaction match the announcement? And if it does not, create a bug. Let's quickly check your knowledge. A heart icon that toggles the saved state. Should it be a link or a button? Drop your answers in the comments and tell me why. In part 1, we covered name. Today, we covered role. Next, we will cover value. And this is where most teams completely collapse. Because you can announce checkbox, but if it never announces checked or not checked, it's meaningless. State, expansion, pressed, selected. That's where dynamic UI either works or becomes unusable. And I promise you, value is the silent killer. If you thought role was serious, wait until we break that one down. Before you use ARIA attribute, ask yourself, does this role tell the truth? Because if it does not, it might look modern, but it sounds broken. And if it sounds broken, it is broken. This is Param Singh, signing off.